Hey, it's Carrington here to bring you a new series straight from Real Dudes Podcast. This first one's gonna be a little, I don't know. It's me and Donovan. We're testing something out. So let us know what you think. Don't forget, you can hit that like button. Don't forget to leave a comment what you think about this. This is a new series we're premiering called Real Thoughts. We're just gonna be asking a question, and then we're gonna go from there and see what happens. So enjoy.
So what was the game that you remember first playing that made a big impact on you?
Well, I can say that the game that had the impact on me the most as a young child would have been Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, because at that point I'd played some RPGs, but nothing to this scale, at least what I'm used to playing.
So what do you mean by like used to playing? So what were some of the other games that
Oh, gosh, what were some of the RPG? I guess if Zelda counts as an RPG in a way, like maybe action RPG.
it counts?
I played those, and I don't know what else playing as a kid. Pokemon.
Your Pokemon was one.
But yeah, it was just one of those things that I wasn't used to playing things with an epic story on that caliber. I mean, I played other RPGs later in life that were made earlier, but what we have played
Mm-hmm.
in our lifetimes, Donovan, Knights of the Republic was the first, for sure.
So what made it so different? What was specifically like? What was the thing that you remember the most that made it like?
So first of all, you got to create your own character. I wasn't used to doing that in games, period. I also wasn't used to doing that in a Star Wars game. So the fact that I got to create my own character in a Star Wars game really made an impact on me.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then on top of that, you got to make choices that had an effect on the game itself, which, at least to what I had seen in the game, hadn't been done yet, from my perspective. And so I was just kind of like, whoa, I can make light side or dark side choices, but I'm a dark side user.
Mm-hmm.
I get to actually be, a dark Jedi. I get to be a mean person with these dark powers and have an effect on this world that I see fit.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was crazy. And the fact that, I could make the character kind of sort of look like me also was just kind of like cool.
Yeah, because it was like the early ages of like
Yeah,
character creation. It was
exactly.
five preset faces.
Yeah, you got faces, skin color. That was it. You're good.
Yeah.
that was the peak of character creation at the time.
That's so true. You say for I guess like I remember NHL like '98.
Yeah.
You could create your own character, but it was kind of the same thing.
It was more like skin color as
Yeah.
opposed to faces.
Yeah, it was more like stat based anyway. Like just said it right 99.
Exactly. Yep. And that was so yeah, this was something like I could actually manipulate the world in a way, and it was the first game I played so many times that I found like glitches or bugs, which was kind of cool too.
I mean that's at a time where too, what was it? FAQs and guides were like the thing.
The thing, yeah. Yeah, cheatcc.com, great website to go to back in the day.
Heyo.
Gamefacts.com, great website to go to
Yeah.
back in the day. So we had plethora of resources to go to that wasn't YouTube or anything like that you see today.
Yeah, and even those FAQs, there were no pictures or anything.
Nope,
so
nope,
like,
nope.
you
You have to go. You have to figure out what they were talking about. You could tell if the guide was good or not, depending on A, how wordy it was, two, which version it was on. So there were some prerequisites going into if you're looking up a game fact.
That was like archaic. It seems like ages ago. Now we have pictures and like, oh, this is where
And
you're supposed to be.
videos.
Yeah, like this is where you're supposed to be on the map.
Because I remember I discovered this on my own. And not to say it could have been on the internet, it probably was, but there was a little girl that boarded your ship in Knights of the Republic at some point. She's a stowaway. She only
I
speaks
remember
Mandalorian.
Yeah.
You can do the evil option telling her to get off your ship. You can do that over and over again. Because when you tell her to get off your ship, she starts to run. But you can get in front of her, stop her, talk to her again, and then tell her to get off your ship and get basically infinite dark points.
And then eventually you can tell her, hey, you can stay on the ship, and then she'll stay on the ship. So that way, now you've just racked up a bunch of dark side points without her even leaving the ship. So you can continue that storyline.
Man, I can remember that girl. When I first watched you, I didn't quite understand what you were doing because I was like, man, stop talking to this girl. You're not gonna get anything from her. And I wasn't seeing like all the notifications or anything where it's like, oh, dark side points.
Right. And that was very, and at the time I didn't know what it was, but that it's based on the D20 system. And I'm like, I don't even know what a D20 is. What is this? And so that's what got me started on just dice rolling and, role playing in general and what that means. I was like, whoa, this is cool.
That's probably why I didn't like it as much playing it myself. I love watching other people play it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because I didn't understand the mechanics at all.
But now you do if you were to go back and play something like that, because we play a lot of board games now.
Yeah.
And it's all, think about it, if it wasn't for Knights of the Republic, we may not be here today.
It's true. It is true. And then also, what about the lore of Knights of the Republic and how that's like progressed since now, or from then till now?
The crazy thing about the lore in Knights of the Republic is you get to learn a lot about like the Jedi and the Sith and where they came from, and it dives really, really deep into that. The amazing thing is at the time we had Episode 1, maybe Attack of the Clones may have been out at the time. I can't remember.
It was 02. Attack of the Clones was 02.
Then KOTOR was around the same time. And so that whole idea of Sith, not just bad Jedi, because at the time, like in the original trilogy, all you had was Darth Vader and the Emperor, and that whole setup. There was no Sith, but we had Sith in the prequels, but not a whole lot still. Not a whole lot of the backstory, except there was a master and apprentice kind of thing. Knights of the Republic really dives deep into both of their histories, really, really deep, because it's set place, thousands of years before even Episode 1. So that's what's fascinating about this game, is just how far back it goes, and it kind of makes it its own, but it's also, at the time, it was canon. So you got to see like how the Jedi and the Sith were at a time when there was plenty of Force users in the universe.
And so what does that mean? Because Star Wars, the Old Republic, it touches on like the lore a little bit of Knights of the Republic, especially with the main character. So what do you think about how it is? Did you ever think from KOTOR till now that there would be so many references to Darth Revan?
Yes, because he's such a loved character because of what he had to go through. And then when it's revealed, spoiler alert, that your character is this Darth Sith that turned on the Jedi and became this evil force in the world. And that was your character in his previous life. And it's weird to say that he's a great character when he doesn't really speak verbally, but he is what you are. Whatever you make him, that's who he is. So the fact that they were able to carry him and do a pretty good job in the Old Republic says a lot about the writing at BioWare.
All right, so Knights of the Republic. Whenever that was released.
Donovan,
Yeah.
what would you say had an impact in your life, video game wise? What would you say has an impact to you from a kid till now, basically?
The one that made the most impact, I think, was, I guess we have to stay on the Star Wars theme, so it was Star Wars Dark Forces, the first one that came out in 1995, I think is what it was. 95 or 98.
It was definitely not 98, I can tell you that much.
95 it was then, 1995. That was the first Star Wars game I remember actually playing myself. Because most of the time I would watch like Dad play Command & Conquer, or we would watch him play Red Alert, or what was it?
MotoGP.
Yep, MotoGP, Moto Racer. What was that other one? It was a good one. Because it was almost on my list as well, which was Star Wars Rebel Assault. And Rebel Assault was like a rail shooter type thing where you're on ships and things. So Dark Forces was the first one where you could like do what you want, sort of, but go where you want. Of course, it was like a linear level with all these different puzzles and things that you had to figure out. but really you could explore the base that you're in, or even the sewers, which people hate. And I've watched a few videos where people are like, oh man, I so hate that sewer level because it takes forever if you make the wrong choice to come all the way back to the beginning and do the different little gates. And when they played it as an adult, they couldn't figure out how to do it. But when I played it, it was like second nature, because I just like, oh, it's just these buttons, and then you go off and everything looks super familiar. So I didn't have too much frustration because I just remember playing that level. I think it was like the third one as a kid all the time. So it was the soundtrack in there, the 8-bit soundtrack that was great. It was, at the time, like, this is amazing. It's Star Wars. The sound effects as well was pretty much on par, at the time, on par with the movies, I felt. Because that's all we had. I mean, now, of course, they've got Battlefront 2 and the DICE, or not the DICE engine, the Frost engine or whatever, that takes the sound to a whole new level. But at the time, that was the thing. That was amazing. All the cutscenes were in-game engine, which were just like pixel people moving around and talking. It had voice acting in there, which was great. And of course, the legendary character now, Legendary of Kyle Katarn, playing as him, which was amazing. What also made an impact was that, of course, it was a first-person shooter, so that was the first one that I remember ever playing. And it kind of terrified me to death, because most of the games was like isometric and stuff, and you can just look at everything around you. But in a first-person perspective, like, somebody could sneak up on you and scare the living daylights out of you, and that was insane. Gosh, now I'm trying to think what else was so great about... Oh, right, it was the first expanded universe story that I remember playing outside of Rebel Assault, but Rebel Assault was more of you fly around and do ships and do stuff.
Not canon.
Yeah, it was just the Star Wars game. But this one had a story, like a real story, but it didn't involve any of the main characters. So this was the first one where you knew all the side characters. Well, I mean, Darth Vader's in it, and Boba Fett's in it, and Jabba the Hutt's in it. But other than those people,
they were not the focus of the story.
Yeah.
Part of the story.
Yeah, they're like cameos. There we go. They're like more like cameos. So that was the coolest thing. It was just a completely different story, and I don't ever remember people complaining about it either. How it didn't have anything to do with anything with the Skywalkers. It was just its own thing. So it was a great story, and plus the very first mission that you play, everybody should know this by now. It's been out for over 20 years. That the first mission is you steal the Death Star plans. So needless to say, when Rogue One was announced, I wasn't particularly too happy that they were just going to retell the story of taking the Death Star plans. So at first I didn't really want to like Rogue One, but it was a great movie. One of my favorite Star Wars movies. But still, that was the first mission. You find it. And then also the difficulty levels. The difficulty spikes are ridiculous. So I know in the first level, all you have to do is just go around, find the Death Star plans. I think you only get one key card, and then you get the Death Star plans. But if you do the hard mode, there's all these extra objectives that you have to accomplish before you can even attempt to go get the plans. And it was absolutely ridiculous. And it's the same thing with all the different levels. Plus, it was the first game that I really used cheat codes that apparently we found, which I don't remember that at all, but that's what Dad said. We gave him the cheat codes to try out first, but I can't remember. It was like Logo, Pogo, something.
I don't remember the cheat codes. I remember using them, but I don't know
that one was, I think you could jump off and you don't suffer fall damage, and I think you could walk up to any edge or cliff, and if there's like a ledge that you can go up on, it would just transport you from the bottom to the top, I think. What I remember. And then there's one that, like, if you crouch down, you get as small as a bug, so you can slip through like any crack. And so you, like, the fourth level, the ice level. Yeah, I think that was the fourth level, the ice level, where you have to infiltrate an Imperial base. When I played it as an adult now, it took me forever to figure out how to break into the base, because I just remember crouching down through the front gate and just getting through that way. So it was like no challenge. I didn't know. And that was like how I played the latter half of the game. Like after the fourth or fifth level, it was just all cheat codes that I used to beat the game. And now going through it now, it's really difficult.
So what would you say, because you brought up Rogue One, and the Dark Troopers are in Rogue One.
Yes.
So the Dark Troopers were actually introduced also in Dark Forces.
Death Troopers, that's
Oh,
Death
Death
Troopers.
Troopers, sorry.
But it's the same premise.
Same premise, same
Yes.
concept.
Sort
and,
of.
You know, they Rogue One took that concept of that trooper from Dark Forces. So, well, how would you feel about that change? Because they weren't nowhere near the same.
Yes, I was actually I got quite emotional, not in a bad way, but in a good way, because to me, that's almost a nod to the game. So when they announced Death Troopers, the first thing I thought of was, oh, it's just like the Dark Troopers. They're like these super commando type, like, stormtroopers, except they're not robots. I think that's what the Death Trooper or Dark Trooper program was. It was, I think they're just robots mainly. And they kind of brought them back a little bit in Star Wars Rebels, the TV show, which I really enjoyed. Again, a nice nod to that game. But also, Cassian Andor is also kind of a nod to, what do you call it? A nod to Kyle Katarn. Goodness. So there's like one shot of Cassian with his arms crossed, and there's like a small little, it was in a dark room and it was shaded on his face or something. And I remember that somebody had made a comparison of his stance to Kyle Katarn's stance in the game and how similar they were. So then I also thought, oh, well, yeah, that's a nice little nod to Dark Forces. So.
And how would you say Disney has treated Kyle Katarn?
We don't like to talk about it. So, I was really upset when they got rid of the canon, Kyle Katarn, and he's just no longer canon. He was amazing. He helped Luke Skywalker with the new Age of Jedi and the Academy. He also was one of the first characters that I ever remember saying that, it's not the Force powers themselves that are dark, it's the way you use them. And I really like his philosophy on the Force powers, because I was like, man, how come all the Dark Force users all get like the coolest powers? They have the Force choke, and they got the Force lightning and things like that. And so when Kyle Katarn mentioned that, oh no, that's not, the Force powers aren't inherently bad, it's just the way you use them can be. And I think there was some extended universe, like if you're a light side Force user and you've used the Force lightning, it would be a different color or something. So I really liked that. But now that he's gone, I thought, well, he's one of the most legendary characters of all time, with the most legendary blaster pistols of all time that was brought back into Star Wars Battlefront, the first one. I mean, the 2015 version. Let's be clear, 2015 version. They brought the Briar pistol back, so I thought maybe they would add him in. And then recently they added the Moldy Crow, the HWK, the Hawk 290, in the board games and also in some of the comic books as well. So the ship is now canon, and the Moldy Crow is kind of like heavily hinted at as being canon. So I'm thinking, just make the move, one of my favorite characters.
Dark Force is the one you're saying had the most impact on you. Would you say that's your favorite one in that series of games?
No, it's not my favorite one. It did have the most impact on me because I remember it the most, and for whatever reason, a lot of the areas in the game I just memorized by heart, especially Jabba's palace. I think I memorized that one a lot more than any of the other levels, because when you're on Jabba's ship, you get captured and you're on Jabba's ship, you lose all your weapons, and you have to basically beat a crate dragon with your fists or run away. But when I first played that level, that scared the bejeebers out of me because the crate dragons were huge and freaky, to be honest. You have these pixel monsters just lunging at you. So I didn't like that level, sort of, but I just loved it because it scared me so much. And I liked the idea of going through all the fear to get to the end of the level. And then I could go back and say, hey, I did that. It was really cool. What was your question? I forgot about. Favorite in the series. So the favorite in the series would.
There's only one right answer for this one.
I know there is only one right answer. It's got to be Jedi Outcast, because one, perfected lightsaber combat. I mean, I'm pretty sure the entire internet will agree. Perfected lightsaber combat. it's still going strong today. It is the best of the series. It's like the old crotchety man leaves the Force and then comes back and starts using it again because he's got to save his woman, basically. So that was the best one and the most fun because you had the lightsaber and did all the lightsaber combat and stuff. In the first Dark Forces, you didn't even get any of that. It was all blasters and all experimental blasters, which are being brought back into canon. So like the Imperial Heavy Repeater, and that's brought back into the 2015 Battlefront, which was awesome. Again, nice nod to the old gaming. So yeah, Dark Forces.
Hey, Carrington here. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you enjoyed it and want to see more, hit that like button. Don't forget to leave a comment down below if you have more suggestions of what you want to hear me and Donovan talk about, hear us reminisce about, and hopefully the editing will be a little bit better. I'm still new at this, so please, you know, be patient with me as I learn. It took me a long time just to learn how to do this, and I hope to employ better editing techniques in the future. And as always, have a rad day.